Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio. Of course, I'm Flobo Boyce, and this is the podcast for creatives. We sit down with people who are doing big things, who are achieving new things that are even bigger. Now, check this out. My mind was blown when I came across a soap for your ears. It's called Forever in the Day. We got the co-creators right here. I got to get up to Candice Mack and Casey Hutchison. How you guys doing?
What's up?
Was that intro okay? Was that dramatic enough? I wasn't sure if I was hitting the target.
That was really dramatic. We needed the dramatic music of like the Young and the Restless to play Back There Were the Days of Our Lives and like
and
really
the Emmy Award goes to
Flobito for
let's talk
the
about
best
this. It's the year
opening.
2020 and the pandemic is around, so everyone's at home and most people are shutting down, slowing down, trying to figure out how can they rearrange their beans and make it more tasty on the fourth day of the week. And you guys decide to launch a audio soap opera. Is that the right way? Do I say that? Audio soap opera?
Yeah.
Soap drama for the year?
Yeah, you said it.
I mean, what was the idea behind that? I'm just curious. I got to know what was the first spark about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Casey.
Get him, Casey.
So I created this show about a year ago. And these characters have been living inside of my head for that long. And I had like 2 episodes written, and I approached the amazing James Lott Jr. of JLJ Media, who is our network distributor, with this idea. Love James. And right away, he took the idea under his wing. He was amazing. And then he said, "You're friends with Candice Mack, right?" I said, "Well, yeah, I love Candice from Soap Party 411 and all this amazing other stuff." And James was like, "Let's see if we can get her, if she's available to do this." And I said, "I'm there." Candice picked up the phone call right away. She got on board. And literally that night, she was like, "Okay, let's do this. Let's run with this." She became the co-head writer. And in 2 weeks, we had the rest of the season mapped out. We knew what we were going to do. And it's just gone gangbusters from there. And then we were like, okay, well, let's assemble a cast and the rest of the crew, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, I have to give all glory to Candice and James here, because I could not ask for a better team to shepherd this show.
Wait, so hold on. So Candice, you were at home like fighting off ninjas, and someone called you up and was like, "Yo, soap drama, you in?" You're like, "Yeah," like no questions asked.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the funny part. Okay, so I've known Casey for a long time, and he's a diehard soap fan, just like me. We both do podcasts, Soap Party 411, the chat, Take 2 Radio. And then, of course, with James. And the thing is, James is like my big brother / guardian angel, because he gives opportunities to so many people. So, of course, when Casey called and I was like, "Well, what's going on?" And he explained it to me. And one of my big things is that you do not turn down an opportunity. Even if you don't question it at first, you kind of still don't, because when he said a soap opera, I wanted you to like ding, 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 because that is one of my big dreams. That's been one of my biggest, dream, is to actually write or be a part of a soap opera. And I thought to myself, I was like, "Self, when is this opportunity going to present itself again to you? You go ahead." And like you said, nobody predicted 2020. Like nobody predicted, you were going to work every single day, doing your normal things. And then all of a sudden, and I'm a Pisces. So I'm very creative. I love creative writing, creative drawing. I love everything. Yeah. So to me, when Casey said it, I was like, sure, why not? Again, when is the opportunity to co-head write a soap going to come my way again?
Sure. Let me jump ahead a bit, because you mentioned James Lott Jr. and JLJ Media. Know the guy personally. He has like 3 billion shows. I don't know how that guy.
He has everything.
He doesn't even drink coffee. I don't know how he does it. But
no, he doesn't.
How does that work? Jumping away, you have the product already made, and coming with a network head and pitching the idea. Like, what's the relationship there as far as division of labor? Who distributes? Who does notes? Who does ratings? Yes. Like, how does that work?
So we are so fortunate to have James not only as our fearless leader in network distribution, but also as a production consultant. And he's always willing to take those meetings with us, have these amazing conversations, and he gives us a lot of freedom to tell the stories that we want to tell, that kind of take daytime drama back to their roots. And we're very fortunate to have the legendary Tom Racina, the legendary Sally Sussman, and the legendary John F. Smith a part of the project. And so he knows that it comes from a good place. And so I think that's why he believes in us so much, from a business standpoint and a show standpoint. And literally, with James, you cannot ask for a better person to work with.
Sure.
I mean, it's like we're kids
Really
on
can't.
Christmas morning, and he's Santa Claus.
That is a cool image, just having him with that.
Pretty much.
James Lott Jr. was actually a guest on the show, episode 50. But yes, him as Santa Claus would be kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He gets it. He understands that, this is, I think one of the things in Hollywood and, even in New York productions is that you have a vision, an original vision that sometimes gets taken out of all kinds of content. And that's why, like Casey just said, with James, he lets us do the show. He lets us handle the readings with the cast, and which, the cast is amazing. I love them. He just gives us that control freedom. And when it's business, we go to him. We're like, okay, we need to talk. But he's a great guy. He is making moves too. Shout out to James. JLJ Media. Check it out. Subscribe.
Yeah. If you haven't followed him, it seems like it'd be so big that it'll follow you. But let's talk about Forever and a Day. So I am not well versed in the soap world. So please explain to me, as I'm completely ignorant of this, how would you, let's say we're at a party where we're mixing drinks, having a good time. How would you pitch Forever and a Day for someone like that who may not even be aware of audio soaps, like to get to tune in? Like, what would be the elevator pitch?
Wow. Great question. Well, I just have to go back to the reason why the show was created and picked up by JLJ Media. And that is that this October, the soap opera genre itself will be celebrating 90 years in broadcast. Wow. Across radio and television. It all started with Erna Phillips, who created the soaps during a depression for Chicago radio affiliates with Painted Dreams. And we're in a depression ourselves right now. With the pandemic, we're all just trying to survive as we try to pick ourselves up, and some of us return to work, and some of us try to go with this new normal. And so that's the thing. It takes the soap opera back to its roots. But aside from that, come on, we have so many delicious characters. We have political ambitions. We have media moguls. We have great sexual tension, which who doesn't love?
The best kind of tension.
Yeah.
Yes, the best kind. And, during the pandemic, aren't we all starved for it? So,
Sure.
there it is. I mean, it's just a crazy, insane ride. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I just say, hey, if we're at a party, I'm like, hey, you like politics? You like sex? You like scandal? You like to listen to things? Check us out.
That's what you're selling like a product. Like, yo, right here, money. I got what you need in this pocket, right?
Yes, it's not a pitch for. It's not a pitch for my bedroom. It's a pitch for the show. So,
so it takes place in a small
but
town.
Hey, it takes place in Augusta, Illinois. Yeah,
but at the same time, it has all these like sex and political ambitions and backstabbings and.
It does, yes. And I come from Springfield, Illinois. That's where I'm based. And, a writer once told me, if you're going to set something in a fictional town, always pick its state as a state you've lived in. And so I was like, oh, okay.
That's true.
Was your friend Stephen King? Like, I don't know. All of this stuff was in Maine. Like, and
also all my favorite soaps. All my favorite soaps have been set in Illinois. I mean, As the World Turns, Guiding Light. World. And so, I mean, come on. And it's Illinois, so much political corruption here. I mean, come on, just open our daily newspaper. So what's better than that?
Hey, same thing here in Maryland. Yeah, same thing here in Maryland.
States. I can't go visit Illinois or Maryland. That's terrible.
I but hey, it's like when you open the door, there's always something like soap opera worthy happening in your area. Like where it could be a congressman doing something wrong, or your next door neighbor cheating, and they cheated because you hear the fight outside, a la here. But
I wish you could be. Sorry.
I used to live in a town where you had more cows than teeth. And so I've seen a lot of drama. And so I tell you,
your life, well, here's the thing. Your life is a soap opera. If you really think about it, your life is a soap opera. It may not be as scandalous as a soap opera character. Like you may not have returned back from the dead a few times. Because if you did, congratulations. I want to know how that happened. If you was able to return back from the dead, or you have a twin out there that but really is really you, but you've been programmed by like a device or something. But everybody has drama in their life. Whether it's relationships, careers, anything. It's you have a soap opera in your life. Your soap opera is a life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but things are nice and pure here in Los Angeles. So
really? I don't know.
I don't know anything about scandal here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Not a single thing? Wow.
No, not at all.
You guys are so lucky.
Yeah, we just get out, we go to Bible study.
We go to Bible.
Okay. Preach. Okay, amen. Okay, hallelujah. Drama.
Oh my God.
So I watched or listened to the first couple episodes of Forever Day. You're doing it twice a week, and I want to know why that was, because I know a lot of our listeners are dealing with their own ways of syndicating their content. How often is too often? How often is not often enough? You settled on twice a week. How's it working out for you so far?
So my mother, and this is where the idea for 2 weeks came from. Twice a week came from, excuse me. My mother, back in the day, was a huge diehard General Hospital and Young and Restless fan. And when she was at school, she would watch the shows on a Monday to get the idea of what the week would be about. And then she would watch the show on a Friday to kind of fill in the gaps and get the big cliffhanger if she could not catch every single day. And so I thought about that. I'm like, that is such a great model. Monday, you get a little jump start to your week, and Friday, you start the weekend with a little bit of a pop. And so I was like, let's go with that. Let's rush with that. And we did, and it's worked out great. As the season progresses, there's just something every day to hang on to start your week or end your week. And that's a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. I know a lot of times it's trial and error or post and pray, but I've never heard a legacy reason before when it comes to releasing
we're
content.
not going to be like a show that NBC once canceled, and so they're going to move it from like a Friday to a Sunday.
Right.
We love.
Wait a minute, that was shade. I'm just going to just highlight
that was total shade. NBC, you on notice, man.
Love you, NBC.
No gets moved, you're in trouble.
Walk me through, and I guess you can go as deep as you want here, the writing process, because you were saying that before we went live that you guys had writer calls in the middle of the night, like in the death of night. How does that work? Idea to actual completion? Walk me through this, because this is all fascinating for me.
Candice, I'll let you take this one.
So basically, it's like we have an outline. Casey will come up with an outline, and then it's sort of, okay. Let me just backtrack. It's like planting flowers. Okay, you have to get the ingredients, so that means we have to get the characters that we want to be a part of the scene. And sometimes we will be like, no, this character should be in this one, and then we have the idea. But sometimes it's like that idea can trigger the whole show. So case in point, we have our lovely, lovely trio of Leslie, Alex, and Colin. And from that, there's so much storyline that I don't even sometimes know how we even do it, because like Casey says, it's like we're up 3 o'clock. Well, I should say this. Casey's in Central Time. So when he says 3 o'clock in the morning, you can take a guess of who is up at 3 o'clock in the morning while somebody's at 2:00 in the morning on their time.
I'm not guessing me because I'm already in bed. I don't know who we are.
What's that like?
Usually...
What's that like? Wait a minute. What's that like going to sleep early? What's that like?
I forgot. It's awesome. Try it out.
Okay. I don't know anymore. My whole life just changed. But no, we stimulate a lot of ideas from off of each other. It would be like one single word is like scandal. Okay, so such and such. Like, what if we do this with this character? What if we don't do this with this character? We'll bounce off of, the ideas of each other, and then we literally create a whole scene, and that scene will carry to the next scene, and then next thing we know, it's 30 pages of dialogue. And it's just it's one of those one of those moments where just like I said, one word, 2 words, whole scene. Next thing you know, you have a tree. It's like, oh shoot, like this is really good. So
we just know, we just know that we have 20 actors who are waiting to get those 30 pages on a Sunday. On a Sunday is when we give new scripts out to our cast members.
Both shows on Sundays.
And so both shows. Okay. They get
both
Monday
shows.
And they get Fridays. And we know that we have to have them done, polished. And sure, there have been times the night before where Candice is like, let's take those 2 pages out and rework them. They don't make sense to us.
Yeah.
So once in a while you get the crazy things. But
crazy Candice, how dare you?
I know, right? Darn it.
I was a huge fan of Knots Landing, as Candice knows. Sometimes she catches me humming the theme song in our 3:00 in the morning meeting.
Lord, yes.
And what was interesting about Knots, though, is even though it was a spinoff of Dallas, it didn't just focus on one family. It was multi-generational. It was multi-faceted. You had the Fairgates, and you had the Ewings, and you had everybody. And I kind of build our show from that perspective, that you need to pick a focal point. So, okay, for Knots Landing, it was Val and Gary. For us, it's probably Leslie, Colin, and Alex. But everybody still has an important story to be told. You just need to pick a focal point. And so we go from the show's focal point, and then we break that down to episode focal points. So maybe Alex and Miranda will be the focal point of this episode, but Jonah and Stephanie will be the focal point of this episode. You just always have to pick a theme. Your episodes can never
to rotate.
Yeah, no matter how large your cast is. And that goes for daytime as well. Days of Our Lives, 40 characters, it doesn't matter. Every episode has to have a theme, no matter how many episodes you put out in a year and no matter how many characters you have.
How does primetime soaps rank against daytime soaps? Is it the same thing as in day parts? You consider one more a different art form than the other? Like, what do you think?
In my opinion, they are the same. It's just about time. It's just about time to tell your story. Dallas told a great story back in its earlier years where Lucy was going to marry this guy who came out as gay, but only to like her. And so, they told that in like a 6-episode arc, I think it was, as opposed to with daytime, they would have told that in 8 months. And so they are the same. It's just about timing is all. It's all about timing. 22 episodes as opposed to 260. It's all about timing.
And it depends on too with the story focus, like you said, the story focus, because even though that was a C storyline, it wasn't like the main storyline. And sometimes I feel as though like primetime and soaps have kind of like daytime and soaps to me, like daytime can rotate story arcs with the characters. Primetime is already set on the primary characters that are going to be in it. Like, 90210. Somehow, some way, Brenda's going to be a part of the storyline. Dylan was a part of the storyline. Right. Kelly was a part of the storyline. Brandon was like, hey, everybody, I got the cool sideburns. Like, hey, here I am. And, that was your focus point.
And then you throw
Jason Priestley, I'm sorry.
Gabrielle Carteri's in there and you have a show. I always thought the best, besides not
say that.
Besides Knots Landing, I always thought the best primetime soap that gave me a daytime soap feel was Desperate Housewives. And I always felt as though Mark Cherry, if he really wanted to, could have taken Desperate Housewives to daytime because it was very layered. And as the show went on, you know, they told stories about people who didn't even live on the street, which was so amazing. And so I always felt as though the best way to tell a primetime soap is ask yourself the question, could you take it to daytime? Because then I feel that you will get more diversity in your storytelling.
Oh yeah,
The and I'm going to throw this one though. I'm going to say, you know, other than primetime, and this is up your alley, soaps are like wrestling.
Go on.
There's a story here. So I want to use that, you know, obviously with wrestling, there's storylines. Okay. Back in the day, it wasn't as big as it is now. If there's a female involved, you know, it's going to be either she's with this wrestler, but his opponent somehow in the main event towards the end, like the big build up, which is the Friday cliffhanger on a soap, like WrestleMania, you know, like, okay, perfect example. I will use this. Trish Stratus, you know, was with Chris Jericho. Okay. That was like, that was the moment. They was like, oh, you know, Canadian love. And then at the match at WrestleMania, well, American love, Canadian love, everything is love, love.
Same love. I don't know why it's different nationality.
Yeah, I know, but no, if you remember, that's what somebody actually. I remember the sign. Somebody had a sign at WrestleMania, so that's why I was like, but no offense, love is love. So basically, you know, with Trish and, you know, it was Christian, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, they start like making out and stuff in front because she turned her back on Chris Jericho. That's the same thing on a soap opera, is that you have a character, you know, it could be a couple that have been ride or die for so many years. And then all of a sudden, one incident, like maybe the other spouse cheated and the spouse that currently was in the relationship found out. So to me, I feel as though that's more of like evil, you know, even level is wrestling in daytime. But, and you also tell the story, you know, you tell the story about, you know, Trish and why she did what she did, and Chris Jericho, how's he going to, you know, rebel and, you know, get her back, and Christian, how dare he could do that. Yeah, I know it got dramatic there, but
broke his heart.
You know, so like that. Yeah, and that's what it's so, and that's what soaps and primetime. You have those characters that you're connected to. You're rooting for them, and then there's one thing that will mess up the whole chemistry. Well, you know, depending, and so you go through that. But with daytime, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. Primetime, it's only a couple of months. Yeah. Yeah,
there's soap opera in everything. I mean, serialized storytelling is the focal point of broadcast, whether it's radio or television. I mean, you take, for example, Friends, which I adore Friends. That was a soapy sitcom. That was, you know, you had love triangles, you had We Were on a Break.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory, in my opinion, got very serialized, you know.
They did.
There is soap opera in everything. Soap opera is in everything because it's serialized storytelling. It, you know, sure, Sheldon is not going to program Leonard to kill Penny at the stroke of midnight, but the soap opera is still there because it's
that could have happened.
Storytelling that certainly could have happened. It would have made for a very interesting series finale.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. So with Forever and a Day, you're trying to do something that's new and fresh, but you still are giving a little bit of a tip of the hat to the evolution of the art form. Was there any specific tropes or mechanics that you were trying to avoid or subvert?
Oh my God.
Oh God, no! Oh God, yes! I couldn't tell with that. Oh God! Oh God, no!
So many tropes. So many tropes.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I will say this is that one of the things, obviously, you know, as for us soap fans, there are so many. I mean, you have the triangles, the Who's the Daddy, Return Back from the Dead, the twins. And it's to a point where with our show, and I'll speak, Casey, you probably got different, but we're, you know, kind of the same bond, which is scary, is that we try to avoid what has kind of made some of the soaps stall a little bit. It's sort of weird because it's like, how many times can you do a Who's Your Daddy storyline on a soap?
That's more Polish every day. You can do it every day.
Right there, and that's a soap opera right there. Okay, and no offense to Mari, because I remember you current affair. Okay, I remember him. But to me, that he took a soap opera format to make his show more popular. And that's the thing, is that, you know, all the soaps currently on the air have done multiple Who's Your Daddy storylines, to the point where it's like, if you hear that a character is pregnant, I always say they better not do a Who's Your Daddy storyline, because if they do, I'm going to go crazy. But if they do it, at least be creative about it. And I feel as though, and this is not, you know, no negative, I do feel as though sometimes with these soap writers, who, by the way, are the hardest working people, obviously, I know, you know that more too. They're amazing. They've kind of gone into this hamster wheel of telling the same story over and over, and it's making the model not, I want to choose my words right, but it's like they're making the model of the soaps it's at a standstill, because 20 something years ago, soaps was like, you know, all these primetime soaps, and that's right, I said soaps, like Empire and all these shows, you know, they do like a brutal attack on somebody. Well, guess what? 20 something years ago, they did that on Another World. You know, some of these things that everybody is like, oh, and I about on primetime has been done. What we're trying to do is we're honoring that, but we're going to do it a little different. We're going to do it the way that we want it to go. So there may be, you know, quote unquote, a triangle, you know, but if you're a soap fan, you've been conditioned to figure out like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Oh no, what we're going to do, we're going to make you think that, but there's a twist. And it could be a different kind of twist and that's the thing is with our show is we follow the soap rules, but we add our own experiences. Not saying that we've actually done it, but I'm just saying, you know, we're adding life experience. Yeah, like, yes. You know, nobody cheated on anybody. I'm going to go now.
Well, so I have to say, it's so great. Tom Racina started writing for soap operas. I believe it was 1972. And he married Luke and Laura on General Hospital, which was the highest rated soap opera episode of all time with 30 million viewers. He created the very popular character Patch on Days of Our Lives. He has led soaps in and out of cancellation. He was groundbreaking by head writing the online version of One Life to Live. Even though we all wished it would have lasted longer, it was still groundbreaking for him to write that online venture. Furthermore, I think he keeps Candice and I grounded. And when I talk about this, I won't say the full story because I can't. But I had pitched a story one time and Tom said, well, that's been done 100 times. Can you freshen it up? And Candice and I worked together and we freshened it up and we came back and he said, this is what I want from you guys. And so he keeps us grounded so much and he makes sure that we don't veer off course. You know, he's always like, a little fun is good, but too much fun, you know, can lead to doppelgangers and microchips and, you know, and that's what has put a lot of these shows in the ground. You know, I miss Another World, but you know, that happened to that show. And we honor the soap opera writers because if we didn't want to, then we wouldn't have any on our team. However, we realized from jump that we needed somebody like that to ground us because nobody can write 260 hours of television every single year. Nobody can do that except a daytime soap writer.
Take that, Tyler Perry.
So it's great. It's fabulous.
That's really awesome. Okay, there we go. I respect myself. You sure, Tyler? You sure?
Yeah.
So you're saying, Candice? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, yeah, it's definitely one of those. I mean, like you said about Tom Cena, you know, he definitely keeps us grounded. But what I also like is that when we do pitch story ideas, the one thing that it's missing from soaps is the social issues. And Agnes Nixon was the queen of social issues, as well as Erna Phillips, William J. Bell. They put what was happening in the world into the world of soaps. And I've always said there's the soap reel and the life reel that's merged into it. So they can tell a story based off of reality. With our soap, we're doing that. Politics. I mean, right now, what's going on in the world right now is politics. You know, you do have scandal. You know, you do have these, you know, our characters is very strong. And at the same time, they're battling within themselves. How many of us every single morning wake up and we have that battle of, okay, what do I feel like doing today? You know, do I feel like making a difference, or do I want to fall in line with everybody else and be like, yes, sir, no, ma'am. You know, and that's the thing, is that some of these soaps, they have very strong characters. Lord knows they do. And we want to continue that. We want to make sure that we, you know, showcase the strong. We want to showcase the social, you know, issues that's going on, with a little bit of soap goodness too. And we just want to celebrate. And that's what our show is about. It's a celebration of the soap genre mixed with the new world.
Sure.
And we had a big, at the beginning, before we launched, we did have a big discussion about the pandemic and if we were going to address that or not. And we ultimately decided not to. And that came from a place of just wanting escapism again, that the soap opera genre is so well known for. Because, you know, Erna Phillips, when she created the first soap opera in 1930, she didn't address the Great Depression. That wasn't a storyline topic. That wasn't, you know, that wasn't like a big, like, oh my gosh. And so she wanted to provide escapism from her own life as well, having been lost as to what she was going to do next as a school teacher. And she wanted to provide escapism to the country. And we wanted to take what Erna Phillips has taught everybody about writing and entertainment, and we wanted to bring that back. So we didn't want to spend 3 episodes talking about the coronavirus pandemic. We wanted to escape again. And hopefully all of our listeners have gotten the chance to escape in these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you know, the show is fairly new by the time we record this. I mean, how has the response been going? Just general thoughts and tones. Were like, was it over the moon? Yeah, did it? Was it like, what is
So
this? We're
much
not used to
amazing.
this. Like, what's the feedback?
We can't even begin to describe. Oh my gosh, I'm like getting emotional right now. We can't even begin.
I was thinking about that too.
How amazing people have been. Our ratings for the first episode, and we will release them, of course, soon, have been so far beyond what we could have ever hoped for. I'm like, not even kidding. Like we're like, what's happening right now? Like, seriously? Like, have we locked on to something amazing? And the messages that I mean, one day I went on my lunch break at, you know, my real job, quote unquote. And
what is real, by the way?
I work at a little old bookstore called Barnes and Noble. You know, a little old.
There you go.
Young bookshop, yeah.
And I was going out for my lunch break, and I was grabbing my sandwich at Panera. Shout out to Panera. And literally, I had 13 Twitter messages of people just congratulating, telling their thoughts, saying, "Ooh, I like this character. Oh, I hate this character." It's so amazing. I mean, soap fans, believe it or not, as we spend a lot of time on soap Twitter and we all talk about this actor, that actress, this state of the show, none of that has seemed to matter right now. None of that has seemed to matter right now. They've all been so welcoming. And especially the response we've been getting since we put out the Beth Ellers promo last night, which I'm sure we'll get into. The response to that has been absolutely fantastic. And you can tell that people have been hungry for soap content, which makes me so happy.
With me, the response, well, first and foremost, I'm still kind of accepting everything. I mean, Casey and James thinks it's funny, but to me, this is a dream come true. And I work at childcare. I'm a teacher. So one of my big things is that I always tell the kids, follow your dreams, don't give up. Sometimes, life is going to throw you tricky, situations. Obviously, this is a tricky situation with Corona. And never in my wildest dreams like I said earlier, that I would be doing a soap, and not only a soap, but an audio soap, doing a throwback into new media. And so when all this came out and people, I was just overwhelmed because everybody was like, we knew you was going to do it. We knew you was going to do it. We knew something was going to align where you was going to be able to show off your creative side and do the soaps justice the way that you've been talking about it on Soap Party for One, on Take Two, on all these shows, for years. And not only that, but, the soap actors, I'm going to cry now. The soap actors who've been in this genre for so many years, they've reached out and they said, congratulations, you guys are onto something huge. Like, you guys are making a difference in this genre. You guys are shaking it up a little bit. You guys are making people wake up to their creative side and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do it too. If you guys can do it, so can we. And then like the soap fans, they're just like, they're enjoying it because they like, ooh, this is a new soap. You're like, there hasn't been a new soap. There's been, obviously, like there's been soaps that have come on the air that sadly was canceled. Technically out of the 4 soaps, Bold and Beautiful is still the baby. But now there's this new soap and it's audio and not only that, but one of the responses that I did get was somebody said, I have to use my imagination. Like, I'm not seeing it, I'm hearing it. And that's the best part of doing the show, is that we're kind of doing something crazy with your brain a little bit. Instead of you seeing it, you have to envision it. Like, you actually have to use your imagination. Because remember when we was kids, we had to use our imaginations. And now everything has been so visual in the last couple of, obviously besides seeing the actors' pictures and stuff on promos and whatnot, you have to really envision the small town. You have to envision the cafe, hospital sets, all of these things. You have to actually create the whole show. You just got the voices. So you have to go ahead. And so I love the fact that people have been reaching out and saying things. They're all aboard it, and I told people, I said, hey, look, be honest with me. I'd rather for you to be honest than being like, oh, it's great. It's like such a great show. Tell me, because I'm out of Casey and me. I'm the one who is just like, come on, just bring it. Like, if you don't like it, at least tell me, so that way we can work, because that's how these shows, and obviously with your podcast, you probably had people that said, okay, this isn't working out. Okay, guess what? Next episode, we're gonna try something different. Listen to that. If and if you still don't like it, listen to the next episode and the next episode. And then all of a sudden I heard somebody say this. They was like, yeah, the first episode I was kind of like, but oh my God, second episode, ooh, okay. Like,
that was a quote. Ooh.
Yeah, it was like, ooh.
The biggest compliment, one of the biggest compliments that I ever got came from my boss. I came into work one day, and when she came up to me and she said, okay, I think we'll place you here today. But by the way, before you go, I need a spoiler to keep me going, because this is amazing. And I said, you'll just have to tune in.
Yeah.
But that has been amazing. The fact that we're getting recognized by like our coworkers, like, is weird. It's like, okay, so you know what I'm doing on the side when I go home.
Yeah.
Take my name tag off. But that's amazing. And Candice spoke about the industry professionals. Victoria Rowell also reached out. Victoria Rowell, who played Drusilla on The Young and the Restless for 22 years, I believe it was. And I have always been a huge fan of hers. And I love her podcast. I love her books. I love everything about her. She's amazing. About 2 years ago, Vicky was the first person to ever read a script of mine as an industry professional, from a professional eye, give me notes and whatnot. And the fact that she congratulated us on it finally happening was just absolutely fantastic. And those are the types of memories that really make you continue the project for all the other listeners. So the support has been overwhelming. And Candice and I have had many a good emotional moments.
The happy cry.
Happy cry, because again, it's you know, I think everybody has said 2020 is the year of the WTF with the, you know,
right.
To me, like 2020 has been just a weird trip, but it's also the year that a dream came true. And I think for a lot of people, there's obviously a lot of negative, you know, because, you know, what's going on with Corona, you know, financial and everything. But to me, I look at it as this was the year that opportunity again presented themselves. And it's, you know, soaps during this whole time has been on a ratings high. Like the soap genre has like jumpstart the soap genre again. And everybody is tuning in and they're watching it. And so for us to be a part of that, with Forever and a Day, for us to be the new kid on the block and people are listening to it and they're enjoying it and they're like, oh, yes. Like, what is happening next? Like, okay, you know, somebody said, okay, this is my lineup on Monday. I watch Young and the Restless. I watch a little bit of Days. I listen to, you know, some other show. And then Forever and a Day is my podcast and I'm listening to that. And I'm like, like we're part of your, you know, and it was because sometimes I feel as though when you put out content like a podcast or anything, sometimes it does get, you know, lost in shuffle. Like, you know, people like, oh, that's great. Like, ooh, right, but people are actually listening to it. And it's, you know, they're listening to something that me and Casey made. And with these incredible people that, you know, we haven't met all of them. I mean, I know some of them, but we, you know, we all came together and people are listening and it's like, wait, what? Like people are actually like messaging and say, oh, I love it. Like Candice. Okay. We know that this was you that wrote. And I'm like, how do y'all know and I'm like, yeah, like I didn't write it, but thank you for saying that. They know because we talked about it so many times. Like I always joke, you know, on social media saying, well, if I was the writer of Young and the Restless, this is what I would do with this character. Or same thing with Days of Our Lives. I would change this out. So now having the opportunity to kind of do that, kind of write it, you know, a show in the way that I, as a soap viewer, would like it and having people respond to it, that blows my mind. That blows my mind. Like, you know, being on your show blows my mind.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I know you guys wanted some time to shout out some people of your creative team before we get out of here. If there's anyone else you want to mention by name, that like, you know, put the work in or on the squad, doing the thing, doing the work.
Oh, come on. I mean, you know, 20 amazing cast members. How are we this blessed, you know?
Amen.
Quinn Van Antwerp, who plays Colin, Kalia Davis, who plays Leslie, Tyler David, who plays Alex, Renee Saran, who plays Miranda,
Matthew Preston, who plays Jonah.
I mean, everybody.
Brandon Larkins.
Brandon Larkins. And of course, you know, the
Christina Sullivan.
Yes. When we were getting these people, everybody, all 20 cast members, you know, it took a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails and a lot of time just to show them that we had their backs when it came to creativity and that we were going to give everybody a moment to shine because this is a medium. First, if you just strip away to the soap opera part of it, the only person who has ever done a soap opera is the amazing Beth Ehlers. And she's been fabulous to kind of, you know, teach people certain components. And so we had to make sure to tell our cast, like, hey, we know you are a brilliant actor. We would not have gotten into contact with you if we did not believe that. And so we had to make sure that, you know, they were okay with knowing that they could do a soap and then do it in a podcast format. And so after we convinced everybody that they could really find the power inside of them, it was up to them to kind of fill in the creative blanks on how they wanted to portray these characters from our scripts. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, from that first day that everybody brought their A game, I mean that wholeheartedly. And now that we're 7 weeks ahead in our shooting schedule, everybody is just amazing. And they all fire on certain cylinders, and they all really bring these characters to life. So please stay tuned, because these actors are just some of the best in the business.
Yeah, we have, cool well, the thing is that we have, people like obviously from the soap industry, like Beth and Tom and John and Sally. And then we have those in the digital, because here's the thing, digital is where it's at too. I'm a huge, we're going through an evolution, obviously, of media, radio, television, digital. Now we're going back to audio, which is, podcast. So we're lucky to have Darrell Anthony, that, groundbreaking Pride the Series. Shout out to him. Brett Lawrence. We have Tony Moore. We've struck gold with our cast and crew.
And our amazing supervising producer, and
Carolina
Sivas, who is the creator of the amazing, and let me tell you, amazing, please go check it out, award-winning series, Broken at Love.
Love.
Such a heartfelt story. And, she is the best, most heartfelt, occasional script writer and supervising producer. She is just amazing. Oh, and she plays Lakin. So come on, like triple threat.
And Lucretia Lyon, we got to give out Lucretia Lyon, who plays Caitlin. She's amazing too. It's just, literally, we could really, plug our cast, because they put in the work. Every time we do a recording, of the episode, I always joke and I said I have like popcorn, because it's so entertaining. And I always say, I wonder what's going to happen next. I need to talk to the writers about this, because I have an idea, and it's like the ongoing joke. So, blessed. I just want to say, to our amazing cast, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you times 20,000. And to, everybody that's been on this journey from the time me and Casey were born, which is our crazy family, especially my crazy family, and our friends and whatnot. Make that crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
get your thank you speech in now, because you're doing a lot of them with Forever in a Day available wherever you stream your podcast. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. Can you guys do me a favor and tell me where the world can follow you, stalk you, become a friend of yours, fan of yours online?
Okay, so if you want to follow all the information of Forever in a Day, link us up, like us on Facebook, okay? Go to Forever in a Day podcast, like us, tell us what you think about the show, okay? Then head over to Twitter, right? Go to FAAD podcast, that's on Twitter. Find out all the latest dirt, okay? Then if you want more information, go on Instagram, same name as Twitter. Also, we also got short stories coming out from James Lye Jr. Yes. We're doing big things here. And you can follow us at faadseries.com for all information on our website, including episodes and including some bonus content that's really going to be amazing. Anything else I'm forgetting, Casey?
Yourself personally, I guess.
Yeah, yourself.
And you can follow me at Candy Poo on Twitter. You can also like me on Instagram at CandyMack82, and on Facebook you can follow me at Candice Mack. Casey, back to you.
Well, you covered all ground with our amazing show, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't give out my Instagram name because I'm ancient when I use Instagram, and I never know how to use it. So
That's
you might as well just not bother. So my Facebook, Casey Hutchison. I'm there holding my fake Emmy replica. And on Twitter at KCS Hutch. You can also follow me and my co-host over on our little soap opera podcast, which is like The View for
I forgot soap opera.
At the chat_podcast. And please, I beg of you, listen to Forever and a Day, Mondays and Fridays, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. You can binge it because guess what? It's a podcast that's great, awesome. It's like your little version of CBS All Access with Y&R and B&B. So yeah, it's wonderful, but please listen.
Yeah.
What do you mean by being ancient on Instagram? Do you like not how to use it? Like, what does that even?
Oh my god! I am like, Lord, what I can equate it to is when my grandmother got her first DVR in 2010, and I had to keep referring to everything as, Grandma, do you want me to tape General Hospital for you? I could not say record. She would have lost it.
He doesn't know how to use it.
I'm like ancient. I'm like 112 when it comes to Instagram, but every other social media platform, I'm like fine.
What Snapchat must have totally be what totally blew my mind.
You know what my Snapchat password? Look, I'm telling you.
I don't have Snapchat. But see, the thing is like I love social media because I feel as though, especially now, everybody, popped up on like Zoom and everything. So I feel as though social media is a great way to connect and, find out what other people are really thinking and what they're really doing.
Yes.
Not like you're stalking, but
But yes, do not request me on Instagram because first of all, I won't know you're there. I won't know how to accept the request.
He calls me up and asks me how to do an Instagram story.
I just don't know.
Shocked. Beyond shocked.
I'm like 83 when it comes to Instagram.
Either way, I'll be watching Forever and a Day's growth and listening to the episodes. Hope to bring you back on the show to see how it is. Maybe a year from now, maybe a couple months from now to see where you're on your path. This is New Amsterdam Radio, newamsterdam.com. Your boy, Flobo Boyce. You can follow the show at newamsterdam.com.